Welcome back to video 3, our lining pockets. And we will also be doing ears on today's video. So I have my pocket piece. One side of it, I am going to measure an inch down from the top. I am working with directional fabric, so I need to make sure that I am doing an inch. And I'm going to make this line 8 inches long. I'm going to go down a 1/2 inch from that line and make another inch long. I hand fill in the last little bit at the sides. And this is now ready to be put on my lining piece. I need to hit my lining piece with the iron a minute. It is a bit wrinkled. Still a bit wrinkled, but it'll be all right. Because I always forget to do this as I am working on cutting stuff out. Let's show you what I'm doing here. This is how I mark my centers of my bags. Not a big snip, just a little, just enough to let me know I have it centered. My lining piece is right side up. Ooh, there, my iron's hot enough now. I am going to be placing my zipper pocket right side down so that right sides are together. As soon as it cools a second, using heat pens, if I were to have put this piece on, it would have erased my marking. Now, I am trying to get this centered. It's actually a pretty good eyeballing job here. Normally, I measure 1.5 inches from the bottom. My pocket is a little short because I ran out of fabric. So I need to adjust for that as soon as I can figure out how to read my ruler here. So I'm adjusting for the part that I have that is short, making sure I have enough room still for my pocket. And I just a smidge, there we go. I normally would pin this, but I do not know where the pins are. So I am going to clip the edge so that it does not shift on me. pins do seem to work much better in this situation. So now we have our pocket with our line, and we are going to stitch on the box that we just made. We have 2 of them that we need to do. So I am going to go ahead and do the exact same process here on the other lining pocket. I have my top. I go ahead and mark that 8-inch line, bring it down a 1/2 inch. Mark it again, and then just freehand close that box. And we're gonna press that, let it dry a minute. I find that if I flip it over, the heat isn't held in as long on this pad. I'm going to go ahead and line my ruler back up. I guess I should clip my center marking. You don't need to put the center markings on this, but I do fold it in half to line it up. And it's ready to be pinned. And we are going to move over to the sewing machine and stitch these 2 lines. And then we will be right back here to go ahead and do the next step of putting our lining zipper pockets together. All right, and we're back. I went ahead and placed our piece on the machine. I am just going to sew on the lines, quick back stitch, it is important to stick to your line the best you can, but I don't know if we can see. I went a stitch too far here, so I'm going to go ahead and back stitch, and then I will pick that stitch out when I am done. I just clip it And it's as good as new there. I did go over a little bit there. That should be all right. When I do the pocket and cut that out, it should still be within range of what we need. I'm just clipping my threads quick. And set that one to the side, and we'll do the second one here. Also, I don't know if you guys can see, I put a 1 and a 2 on my lining pieces. I have 2 1s, 2 2s, because they were cut together. I want to make sure that I get the right piece with each pocket. It just helps it line up a little bit better at the end. All right, we have them sewn. We are gonna go back to the cutting side, and I'm just pulling my clips, flip over, clip threads. But we're gonna go ahead and mark our line and cut open our pocket and push it through. All right, we are back. I'm just making sure my iron is still good. We are going to mark our, as soon as I see where I put the pen. Oh, here it is, sorry. A 1/4 inch from the edge of where we just sewed. In the center, and we're gonna go to a 1/4 inch on this side and draw a line. Pretty centered. I then draw the little triangles so it looks like this. I take my rotary cutter. We gotta do the second one. Now we take our rotary cutter and I freehand this line. You can use your ruler if you want. And then I take my scissors and I clip to the corner, but do not clip your stitches. Yes, I get some funny faces when I am concentrating. You should see me cutting patterns out. My kids always laugh. All right, we are going to move our cutting mat out of the way. I just hit the iron, so it should be good. We're now going to take our pocket and fold it in so that wrong sides will be together. I try to finger it, press all this together the best I can. I make sure that we don't have too much puckering at these sides here. And now I'm going to hit it with this iron. On the top. And then turn it around, and if you're having problems with it, hit the iron on it on both sides. Why that works, I don't know. But before I sewed bags, I was a quilter. And you always ironed your seam before you opened and pressed a seam. And it works. Don't know why. Alright. So we have, whoops, sorry guys, our cutout for our zipper pocket. We now need to sew our zipper in. So take one of your pocket zippers. I like my zipper to close from right to left. So I put my zipper down first. I am going to put tape on it. Move my zipper pull out of the way. And while I have that out, I'm going to go ahead and do the second piece the exact same way. All right, and because we're using the tape, I'm going to go ahead and get this out. I'm going to make sure that my zipper pull is to the center on the teeth. I have space in between them. I'm going to run it on the one side, on the other side of both zippers. And I'm just going to set that out of my way for a second. I'll set the one zipper out of the way. Right. So I have it where it opens to the right and closes when I go left. This is just an eyeball game as well. we center it the best we can on our, we have a little puckering. I can pull that usually. And then we're going to hit it with the so we went ahead and hit it with the iron. So you can see here what we have left over is about a 1/2 inch on this side, about a 1/4 inch on this side. We're going to go ahead and stitch that in, and we top stitch. I will start about right here and stitch around. When I get to where the zipper is, I will move the zipper all the way over and close it, and then continue my stitching around. But first, let's go ahead and get our other one ready. So while I'm doing this, I guess I can tell you guys about my AbbyRose. Abby was my dog. I loved her with all my heart. And in January of 2021, she had a little bit of a problem, and I ended up having to put my baby down. Her legs were going, she wasn't eating. We knew that it was coming, but even knowing it, not easy. I am one of those crazy people. My animals are family. Alright, so this corner here, I have quite a bit of puckering. I need to just kind of pull and manipulate it a little to get that to lay a little bit flatter. But my Abby was the best dog ever. She was always under my feet and a pain in the butt, but she was a good dog. And I have 2 kids, plus a 3rd one that I raised, and you can't pick one of your kids to name a pattern after. It will cause way too many drama issues. So I did what I always do and chose my dog. My kids, all 3 of them, the 2 that I had and the 1 that I raised, will tell you, I love my dog more than them. So I felt it was only fitting to use Abby as the name of the pattern and go from there. So that's how the bag became the AbbyRose backpack. I now have a new dog in my life. We have 2 of them actually. In 2019, my sister adopted a puppy. He is a Labradoodle. His name is Chewbacca. He's a really good boy, but I can't let him know that I like him. I always tell him I don't even like you when he comes by me, but I love that little stinker. And then last year in 21, I adopted a lab hound mix. Worst decision of my life, but I love that little stinker too. And I tell him all the time he's lucky he's cute, because he's a bad boy. His name is Gryffindor, but he's really a Slytherin. Alright, we're going to go to the machine and stitch these up and get these lining pockets finished up. Alright, we are back at the machine. I have installed my zipper foot. And we are going to start sewing. And where that little bit of puckering was, I'm trying to smooth it out as I go. And I still started at the closed end. I go slow over the teeth, but I'm just doing it backwards from what I originally said, because I put it in the other way to begin with. Alright, now I got to that midway point. I go ahead and pull my zipper over, and now I can clip this top thread. And continue sewing. Go slow over your zipper teeth. They're plastic teeth, so you can sew over them. However, I've yet to find a foot that likes sewing over the feet, or the teeth. Alright, our zipper is sewn in. You can barely see it on the back because I used black and red thread. None of our zipper on this one needs to be trimmed. We are going to do the other one quick, and then we will go back over to the table to get our to get our other piece on and finish off our pocket. back stitched that one closed. We got a little wonky on this one, but the zipper's completely in. I'm only going to restitch this little spot right here to make sure, because it was so close to the edge and we don't want it coming out. My thread blends beautifully on the front, and you really won't see where I fix that on the back. And that's all because I didn't center my zipper well enough. We'll go ahead and chop it off if we want, but we do not have to. I am done right now sewing with zipper foot, so I put my regular foot back on until we get to the next step tomorrow where we need the zipper foot. But let's go back to the table and finish off our zipper pockets for our lining and finish off this step of the bag. All right, I am back at the table. I'm going to not match up my numbers because they disappeared when I ironed that. It is what it is. This one looks like it fits good. I went ahead and got some pins out too. I'm currently sticking them in here so that I have them. I'm going to turn it sideways, and right below the zipper, start grabbing and pinning. On this side, do the same. All right. So we have it completely pinned. We are not stitching the bottom at all. So when we put it in, we will put it in at the one corner, stitch up, turn, stitch across the top, and then back down the side. So I have one done, one to go. Just grabbing more pins. All right, so the one lined up great, but this one we're not lining up as well. That's okay. I'm lined up at the bottom. It will all be fine. I'm gonna go ahead and close the pins, so knowing me, I'll spill them everywhere. I am going to sew with this part facing up. I'm going to stitch to here, turn, stitch along the top, and then stitch down this side. With this part facing up, I can see and not catch my lining panel in the pocket. You would think it doesn't make a big difference, but it does when you go to burr the bag. So let's move back to the sewing machine, and we're going to stitch both of these up, and we will be done with our zipper lining panels. Back zipper lining, you know what I mean. The pockets that are in our lining panels. All right. Okay, we're back. I already sewed our first one and finished off the pocket. I just realized that when I moved the camera, I somehow ended up on a different setting and we had no video. I have already stitched, let's turn it this way, the first line of the second one when I realized it. You also missed the cute interaction with the dogs. It happens. I've had so many problems trying to video these that I'm actually like not even surprised something like that happened. So we've now done across the top and we're finishing off the last side. I backstitch very good at the start and the finish. So the only part that is really important in this step is, as you can see, when this gets done, this hangs over here. That's not a problem. When we sew the bag, we will fold it down. It'll work itself out. But when you put it on the machine to sew, you want to make sure that you have lining panel facing up and the top of the bag facing you. And you start on your then right side and stitch around. That's the only way I can remember to do it, that it turns out right every single time. I'm going to go ahead and pull these pins out and set these off to the side. And we are done with our lining zipper pockets. And we will be back in a few minutes. I'm going to go check on the dogs and probably cook some dinner. But we will come back and make some ears. All right, welcome back. We are gonna do our ears. I have my 4-inch circle, my very choppy cut 5-inch piece. I am going to put the 4-inch circle somewhat in the middle and draw a line around it on all 4 pieces. Well, actually on 2 pieces because we're going to sew that together. Alright, let's try and get another pen. This one isn't a heat erasable pen, but alright, so I have 2 width. I'm going to lay those right side up. The 2 without, I'm going to lay on top of them, right side down. So we're making a sandwich. I am going to take my pins and in the middle, pin it so that they don't shift on me. Really only need 1 pin here. All right. So now I have directional fabric. I want to make sure that my direction is correct. All right. So now I'm going to take my marker, my pen, and the 4-inch circle. I am going to not put it back in where I made it, but come up maybe about 1.5 inches. It's about 1.25 inches that I put it up, and I'm going to draw a line like this. So you have a half moon. This is where I will start and stop my stitching. A little over 1.25 inches on that one. Exactly 1.25 inches. I mean, I'm okay with it being slightly off. It's just for my stitching lines. They will get fixed better in the sewing. Then once we have it sewn, we are going to fuse this extra piece to each side just to give it a little bit more firmness in there. Also, another thing, when I am sewing this, I am not sewing on this line. I am going to use this line as my 1/8 inch, and I'm going to sew 1/8 of an inch further out than the line. So it'll really be like sewing it on here, so that when I turn it, I still have the full 4 inches around. So let's go ahead and go to the sewing machine and get these sewn. All right, we are at the machine and we are going to start sewing. I gotta do it. Put the line on the wrong side. There we go. I figured it out. I'm trying to eyeball it for this 1/8 inch line or so. And we're just gonna slowly sew around it. The better you get that line in a circle, the better your ear will look. Alright, we have both of them sewn. We can go ahead and take the pins out. I like these little purple pins. They're not quite as long as a quilting pin, but they are super sharp. I like the bulb tops on them, and I got them from a good friend over in the UK. But we are now going to take our scissors and trim around, I don't leave much room. I get close, but not too close because I don't want my stitches to pull. And I kind of just taper it like that at the end. And this is why it didn't matter that my original pieces were cut quite wonky. Excuse me. Alright, so we have our ears. I'm going to go ahead and move back to the table and we will get them finished off. Alright, we are back. I'm clipping threads. In the middle of sewing these ears, I had to run to my old house and pick something up for my dad that we had left. So I'm back in my hoodie and I am no longer hot because it is quite chilly outside. Alright. I went ahead, I'm getting the iron to hurry up and heat up. And we will attach these pieces. Now, there's two things we can do. I am going to cut this bottom part off, and to do that I am going to go locate my ear pattern and come right back and show you. It's pretty much this shape, and I could do it that way if I wanted. Actually, we might just do it that way. With my ear pattern, it makes it a little bit easier because it's cut that way to begin with. Alright, so I don't have the cutting mat out. I'm just going to take my scissors and cut one. And as you can see, almost identical to the line that I made already. I'm going to then use this one and stack them up. So I have them all stacked up. And as you can see, I had pieces that weren't quite big enough on those as well, because I knew they'd get cut off. Alright, so we're going to start on one side. I'm going to line them up. Make sure it's not in my stitches. I'm going to take my iron and my Teflon sheet. You could also put these in the heat press. However, the heat press would take me a lot longer to heat up. Alright, let that heat back up. It doesn't have to be perfect. But you do kind of want to make sure they are lined up the best you can. Very tedious here. It's one of the worst parts of sewing, if you ask me. That and cutting out fabric. I absolutely hate cutting fabric. I love sitting at the machine. I love sewing, but cutting and all the prep work that goes into bag making is the worst. Alright, so I have it fused on both sides. It's not the best, but it'll do. We are now going to take our ears and carefully turn them if you're not got the best of fusing there. I went ahead and because I cut it so nice and flush to the seam, I actually have a really good seam, but I am going to stick my finger in or use a chopstick. Yes, it's a chopstick from the Chinese restaurant. I went ahead and they were never used, but I used them for sewing. I have a set down here. These were good ones that came single. They weren't that you had to break apart. Those get a little splintery on the ends. I'm just going to carefully turn these out. All right. Last, we're going to go ahead and heat these up, press them flat. What's great about the waterproof canvas is it doesn't get that wrinkly when you turn. But there we go. We have our ears. Now when we place them in the bag, we will be putting them in and sewing. I guess it helps if I do it backwards. We'll be sewing them sort of like that. That's why we made the notch. But there we go. And as far as size, they're just a smidge over the 4 inches. But that's fine. No one is going to measure. If you want to get them exactly 4 inches, by all means, sew them exactly on that line. I do have a bump in this one. It's from the fusible fleece, but it'll be fine. Now, the next thing I'll have to do is look at both and see which one has a better placement. They're pretty much the same, so it doesn't matter which is my front and which is my back. And neck, that we'll deal with when we do the front panel, which is not the next video, but the video after that. I think the zipper panels are next. No, front panel. Guess I was supposed to do zipper panels today. So, that will be part of the next video. We will do the zipper panels and the front panel tomorrow. Hopefully a little bit earlier. I have a appointment tomorrow. The little guys, their mommy is having a baby. We don't know what it is, but we are going to a baby shower for her, and I will be gone during the day, but I will be back in the evening, and I will be live. Hopefully someone joins me, but if not, I guess I'll sit here and talk to myself. Seem to be getting really good at it. All right, I will come back and show you guys how to make a bow. I just got to go find some fabric. All right, I have a piece of fabric. It is 10 by 10. I am going to fold it right sides together and stitch along that side. We're just going to pick this up and move it over. Yes, I just sewed it with the black and red thread because you won't see it. We then turn it and we're going to move back to the table to finish this bit of the bow. If we can press the seam open, great. If not, get it pressed to one side. we're gonna press that flat. Now, I take and I fold that in. I fold this side in. Pretty much bring them to the middle. And not too bad. You can kind of, there's maybe like a 1/4 inch gap between them. Go ahead and press that. I pinch in the middle. I fold up. So you now have a accordion style bend. I fold this one up and then I fold it back down. All right. That's all I do. I then put and hand stitch one good stitch through there. I have taken just thread and wrapped it around, anything to hold the shape. There's fuzz on it. And then once that is attached, I usually take a piece of fabric, I fold it in to itself, sort of like we did the carry strap. And then I use this to cover the bow like that, and that becomes the knottier part. And there you have your bow. Whichever way you like it to look. There you go. And then when we put and finish the front pocket panel, I will hand stitch it through this part and stitch it to the front of the bag so that the seam is in the back and your ends here are covered. You can always put a piece of fusible fleece on the inside to help fatten it up some, give it a little depth, but that's the easiest way I know how to make a bow. That is almost no sew. It could be fully no sew if you want to use like hot glue. I have done that before. I just prefer the seam, especially being I'm in the middle of sewing anyway. Just put that one seam in and go from there. I hand stitch because I think it would be a nightmare trying to actually stitch with the machine that last little bit. So now the next video I will be doing tomorrow is our zipper panels. These are quick and easy. A lot of straight line sewing. We will knock them out very quickly, and then we will go ahead and start our front panel. That is going to be a ball of fun. Not. That's literally the hardest part, is doing this front panel. It will take patience and just go slow. That's my advice. Go slow. The more you seam rip, especially with the clear vinyl, the more it will mess up the vinyl. So we're gonna try and go ahead and get it done in first time. If it's not perfect, that's okay too. So I will see you guys in the morning. I may have the same hoodie on because it's warm and I don't have all my hoodies unpacked, and that's what happens when you're trying to do videos in the middle of a move. So I will see you guys tomorrow for video 4, and then on Sunday we will hit video 5 and put the rest of it together. All right, bye.